It is now 6 o'clock, and I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Please make note that Mr. Tammy Jackson, chairman, is absent today. Everyone else is present. Invocation. Billy, will you lead us up prayer? Sure.
Let us pray. God, thank you for bringing us here tonight. Just thank you for all of our stakeholders. Thank you for our teachers, administrators, students in our school system. Thank you for keeping them safe as we approach this holiday season. Please give us wisdom tonight as we make decisions, as hopefully we're willing to listen to all the people present. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, you have received the agenda for the meeting. May I get a motion to approve that agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please indicate by raising your right hand.
All right. Thank you, board members. First item I want to receive this information is a special recognition. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Cochran, hiding over there in the back. Mr. Cochran, come on up, tell us about this special recognition, and looking forward to hearing all about this.
All right, so good evening, board members, Superintendent Mr. Woodman. Every year, our students enter to a reading contest called Be a Champion, put on by AEA. And all they have to do is read 6 books, and they turn in their form, and we ship them off to AEA. And out of thousands of entries that are given, we've got one for the first time ever in Autauga County at Prattville Primary School. From the Auburn side is Toxie Dorset. So what they do is they choose one Auburn fan and one Alabama fan. And Toxie, we're able to have those conversations of previous students from the school year to know what worked, what didn't work. We have those conversations in the summer in preparation for our class roles. So I do want to highlight just a couple of things that, we at Prattville Primary School are great at. And I'll say this, we all have great faculties in Autauga County. And, to say that we will put all of our faculties up against anybody in the state, we sure will. And I'll say this for every single school. But for our school, I'll say the same thing. So this year we were able to add a part-time interventionist, Ms. Ryder. She was hired as a part-time interventionist. I received a grant for an ARI interventionist to help with that reading component as well. So that has really helped. We've also added more community partnerships. For example, this year we were able to partner again with IP for our family night. We had over 500 families in attendance. So we were excited about that. There were 500 people that came for that. We had a hamburger dinner and were able to have a great night and just sit back and relax. We're also partnering with Centerpoint Church. They're actually remodeling our outdoor classrooms, so we're excited about that. Some wood that needs to be replaced on our stage and our gazebo. They're going to redo those. Also, Whataburger came out for our Monster Mash, and we enjoyed having them. They gave all of our students some stuff, and it was just a great day. In looking at our data for Prattville Primary, some of the highlights, we had 100% growth. If you look at our chronic absenteeism, which goes towards our report card, grade. Last year, the previous year was 11.99%, so we're doing well in that area, so we're excited about that. We partner with central office, you know, when it comes to Melissa Allen, Dr. Addison, in helping with that chronic absenteeism and making sure our students are there at school, because not along with our staff, we'll make phone calls as well to make sure that they are there. I do want to go ahead and go to this and just, we'll pause at this. So this is second grade ACAP. So when you look at second grade, our second graders take the ACAP, which is used as a baseline data. And so when you look at Prattville Primary School for an ELA, we are above the state percentage. Again, however, when you look at math is one of our low areas. But the good thing about math this year is that we've tweaked our master schedule to add a math intervention block, but also our math coach. We're able to bring her in to help look through that data with our teachers and find those deficiencies so that we can figure out a plan to move with our students. So, some of the challenges that we face are the same as Ms. Wamble. We look at discipline. We look at, while our attendance is still relatively good, we still see some that are struggling to get to school. But when you look at the discipline, we struggle with the intensity. We're seeing a lot more intensity with our behavior students. As Ms. Wamble said, we were able to implement in-school suspension this year, and that has really helped our behavior. Mr. Whitman is very adamant about if there's any distractions that we get them out of the classroom, and that's what we're able to do so that our teachers can teach. We can provide our teachers with what they need so that they can be successful with our students. So that's an area that we're working on as well. One of the things that we recently just did was last week, we were able to take a group of teachers over to Pine Level. Obviously, when you look at the Pine Level's grade, we asked the question, what are they doing that we can learn from? Because we want to learn from our own people. And so we went out there, had great conversations. We got great resources from them, and we took them back, and we're going to be having meetings to implement those in the classroom. We got reading resources that they gave us, and that's something that we want to continue to do. Ms. Harry, I was very appreciative of her giving us that opportunity to come out there to learn from her teachers as well. So we have a lot going on, and we are continuing to look at what we're doing, and we're going to. This is not indicative of what we're capable of and what we're going to do. So I'm very proud of our teachers. They work hard every single day, and there's a lot to come.
Just a couple things I want to jump in to make sure. So obviously we got the data in the summer, and Mr. Cochran was one of the first ones that pointed out, hey, we got to get our math where we expected. So like he said, he made some changes with master schedule, made some changes with how we're pulling out kids. The main thing I want everybody to know is, yes, this is a midpoint year update because, well, the report cards came out and this is when it naturally falls in. The thing I'm encouraged on is we do see some things at the school level that were started to be implemented in July, August to start trying to target some of the deficiencies that we see. I really appreciate what he said about going to tour other schools, going to Pine Level. Mr. Cochran, correct me if I'm wrong, when you were telling me the other day, it was less about, you know, what they were doing. It made you feel good about what's going on, but it was more about implementing.
Right, basically seeing what they were doing with their math and reading, you know, it made us feel good because we're doing the same thing. It's
Right.
just getting those different strategies and getting those different techniques down, that we can implement in our classrooms. So that was very encouraging.
I commend you for doing that, you know, and I know a lot of our principals share ideas all the time. So, board members, I know we're running a little long. I'm gonna turn it over to you. You fire away. Any questions, Mr. Cochran?
Hey, what's your current enrollment right now?
We are I just enrolled 3 more, this week, so we're at 513.
Alright, what is your math intervention class look like? Or how do you pick, like, is that every kid goes through math intervention, like this
So-
class you're talking about? Or
So you're talking about math intervention blocks. So we have what we call for reading, we call goal time. So it's a math intervention block time that is set aside every single day for our intervention time. So where our teachers, pull their students back for intervention, or if they go with, an intervention teacher. And it may be with one of our interventionists, or maybe with one of our SPED teachers.
So it's every day block of time?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So in first grade is different from second grade, it's not the same time. And the reason I did that was because if I were to put them in the exact same time every single day for first and second, I wouldn't be able to have 45 minutes of PD for everybody. So that was another thing that I wanted to do, is give teachers more planning time so that they can have, more time. So that's why I was able to do 45 minutes for PD.
Do you need anything else with discipline? You said it's a challenge.
Discipline is, when I talk about the challenge with discipline, the intensity of the behaviors. You know, we have a great SPED department, who help us with, the behaviors, when it comes to writing behavior plans, helping in those aspects. But when it comes to the intensity of it, the aggression, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, we're seeing more aggression.
So, kind of your only pathway right now is with that aggression is ISS and then.
Or out of school suspension.
Or out of school suspension.
Do they respond to their, to the ISS? Like if you have a problem, are they repeat offenders or is it
So-
working or?
Yes, ma'am. We do see some that are repeat offenders. We do see several that do not want to come back. Mr. Whitman has made it very clear that it is not a time to play games or anything like that. It is, you sit in a desk and you don't want to come back. And that's the message that, you know, while they're still getting their academics with our ISS teacher, the message needs to be understood that this is not a place you want to come to. You want to be with your students, you want to be with your class.
The struggle just came up in my teacher group the other day. Board members, just so you know, the struggle is before we implemented ISS, the K through 2 band, literally, when something occurred with their behavior, their only option was work with them or send them to the house. Well, and I'm not trying to steal the thunder, I'm gonna let Ms. Lindsay do her presentation as well. The reality is the behaviors that we're seeing in that K through 2 band are typical behaviors that we would see in a 3 through 6 or a 9 through 12 band. And that's just the reality. So, you know, I'm glad we implemented ISS, but the problem they're having right now is, okay, where do I send that child that cannot correct behavior in ISS? Where is that next step? Right now, board policy, the next thing they do is suspend. Well, when they suspend, number one, the kid's not getting instruction. Number two, the only data point they have to manipulate is chronic absenteeism. Well, when you suspend, that means you chronic absenteeism. So, without jumping too far ahead, I think as a district, we're going to look a little bit at that K through 2 band and go, hey, if you're going to function or if you're going to behave in these types of behaviors, we're going to have to alter what we're going to provide as consequences for those K through 2 behaviors. And I'll get to that in a minute on my end, but
I agree.
is that kind of what you're seeing is that progression of, hey, ISS is good and it's correcting some behaviors, but how do we handle the students that are repeating? But then also, how do you handle, I'm just gonna throw it out there, how do you handle a K through 2 student that hits our teachers, or punches our teachers, or spits on our teachers, or cusses out our teachers? Is that common? No. Is it more prevalent than what you saw 3-4 years ago, Mr. Cochran?
Yes, and let me just make this point too, that, you know, especially when we have special education students who are in ISS, while they're still getting their services, being pulled out from ISS because that is something that they still have
Yes.
to have. When you get to the point of out-of-school suspension with them, now you're playing with their 10 days. And so when you get to their 10 days, you obviously have to have a manifestation meeting. And then,
Well, I don't wanna steal Ms. Lindsay's thunder, I'm sure she's gonna mention some of that too, but, you know, once the principals present, you know, I've got some ideas on that as well that I'll throw out there, but, you know, my non-negotiables, and I know you guys feel the same way, and we gotta get there as a district, you know, we have overhauled discipline in this county, and I was fortunate we inherited, you know, discipline was always taken very seriously in our county. I think that's one thing that everybody will hang their hat and go, hey, there's certain behaviors we're not gonna put up with. The reality is the behavior that you used to see in the middle school band has now escalated to high school, and then the other bands that you would have never thought the behavior would pop up in the last couple of years, it is common in that K through 2 band. And right now, yes, we've given them more options, but I think we may have to look at, based on some of these presentations, making some other changes.
I agree. I mean, and it was a decade ago when I was in your place, but it was much harder doing early ed discipline than high school discipline because, you know, you had out of school suspension, and honestly, for a lot of this, I wasn't willing to send home. You know, it wasn't a good option to do, so I think we gotta have, you know, something there.
well, I'm sorry,
No.
but yeah, you've got to find the balance, because you've also got some that will do things to go home. And when you have that, then that really defeats the whole purpose of out-of-school suspension when you don't have any other options there. So,
And I want to say, I don't want to feedback what Mr. Wilkins said. I think it's huge getting outside their school and going to places. You know, as again, I think teachers will welcome change, and sometimes knowing how do I change. You know, if I'm not given that opportunity or pathway, I'm gonna do the same thing tomorrow as I did today. Because that's what I know, and so it's giving them the opportunity to be able to be and talk with other teachers. But I think the important thing then is to figure out how do we implement that. Maybe not think as a defensive mechanism of why we can't do something, but how do we implement change? And what does that look like? And then I'm gonna say again, how do we support it? And how do we need to support the change you're wanting to implement in primary school?
well, I think, you know, going back to the discussion that we had at Pine Level, you know, being able to see what they were doing and, you know, getting those resources that those teachers were using. Not to say that that was the all and be all, but, you know, that's a start. You know, this one talked about time. You know, we would love to just have all the time in the world, but when we're stuck with having to cover so many things, so many lessons in our academics, you know, that's the hard part, is being able to fit everything in. While our teachers are awesome at doing that, it's being able to really concentrate on those academics. And Mr. Snyder said earlier, and you know, our academic teams do a fantastic job in, you know, when it comes to the surveys at the end of each quarter, finding out what our teachers need in the academic realm, and trying to find that balance with our teachers, and that's the hard part, is finding that time, finding that balance. But as far as the resources go, y'all have been, Ms. McNider, everybody's been fantastic in getting us what we need, and now it's just a matter of executing that, whether it is our new math coach, or an ARI interventionist, or a part-time interventionist. Just those are the things, those are the people that are really going to add to the success of our students who have those deficiencies. Because I'll say this, having that smaller group setting for our interventionists really has shown growth. And while a teacher who has a class of 18, 20, 23, you know, it's a little bit harder. Whereas with our interventionists who can pull them out and work with them on their deficiencies, it's been very helpful.
All right, more questions for Mr. Cochran? All right, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Lindsay, you're next.
Okay, well, those of you who know me or have talked to me or anything know that I'm all about it takes a village. All my parent letters say it, everything, and I mean that from personal life to professional life, it takes a village. And so I think Talking County is blessed with the best village. I even came back. I'm a product of Talking County, and luckily they've kept me for, I'm not gonna say how many years, because Joey's got me beat just a little bit, but, so I will say that, and I'm gonna be honest, I went through the school system. When I came to teach, I've done secondary, I've done elementary, I've been Dean and Pratt, Mr. Nairn and I were Dean and Pratt together, so I've kind of been all over, and I never really thought that would, I was like, Lord, this really looks bad, but it's really helped me as a principal to see all aspects of it. And just like them, and I'm gonna be honest, I say shine, shout out, we shine at Pratt Elementary, in case you didn't know that. This is my third full year, business, finished, we're there, halfway there. But we've done a lot of change. It's been a lot of change. I invite y'all to come look. It's been great. It's definitely our home away from home. From the front office, Miss Abel, to our custodians, to our PE teachers, everybody. We try and create that atmosphere of a home. Mr. Camara makes fun of all my plants, but that's okay because that's my goal. So, anyways, it does take a village, but it is my home, and I know that we're looking at data tonight, and I think data is huge and important, but it's also about the whole child. And I feel like the behaviors, all the things that we talked about tonight, that's our job, is to raise a whole child, and I mean, these are our children. And so I'm gonna go into this, and I'm not gonna cry, because I get very emotional, because I get very compassionate, should I say, about my people. So, all to say, 89 is so hard. It's so hard. Just because, one, I didn't even want to tell my teachers, just because the compassion that they have, or our school in general. We have, Mr. Z is one of our custodians. He's a product of Talking County. Y'all, he's precious. And like, kids want to come to school to see him. You know, and so just to tell them, yes, we went down a little bit, but this is just a bump in the road. So I'm gonna start off with some shine shout outs, because I do it every day on the announcement, so this is what we're gonna do today. So our chronic absenteeism, I'm so super proud of this. We were at 9.1% last year, and we went down. Miss Abel is here tonight, and I need to give her all props. She is phenomenal. All our teachers are phenomenal, because I feel like we provide that environment that kids wanna be there. And I am crazy, and I like to plan all kinds of crazy stuff, and they keep me grounded. But I do feel like that's just as important, is creating that environment that people want to be there. So I'm super, super proud of our chronic absenteeism. And we're trending about that. We're a little bit higher, right now, but we are on it, and, we're gonna get there. I do think, I know it's counted, you know, like Ms. Marble was saying, it's not really counted as kindergarten, well, it is not counted as kindergarten. But parents, it's just educating parents, I give parents my cell phone, which I probably shouldn't, but if you just call them and say, hey, they don't know. Oh, I don't know that my kid has 7 ounces, they don't think, they just don't know, to educate them on the importance of it, and when they're not here, they're not learning. So anyways, we try and make those personal connections, and the teachers are really good about that, and I'll go into that on the discipline side of things in just a minute. I will say, this is super, super awesome, that we do have 100% growth. That means every single student moved, which is phenomenal. We have had some behaviors, different behaviors, I think, should I say. We are SPED back to it on the data when I flip it, but we went down in some areas, but we were above the state average on every single one except for math and third grade. So, and I'll go into what we've done to kind of, we do that like the summer to make some changes. So, with that being said, I'm gonna, go on to our data. So, as you can see, like I said, we're above our state data. When I got this, we have made some changes in our master schedule. We have a protected block, for our intervention. It's called our, Rise and Shine. That used to be at the beginning of the day. We did move it to 9 o'clock, just because we had a lot of people checking in, and a lot of those kids that were checking in were missing that intervention. So we moved it. I'm gonna go back a little bit, and when we look at this, reading has been, and I do wanna this is third grade, I'll go back to my fourth. Literacy Act is huge. In our fourth grade, you can tell it, our teachers are phenomenal, but I do think the interventions and the Literacy Act with them and catching the SRP, all the things, the folders, I have a reading coach who's phenomenal, so that shows, but obviously our math is struggling, and so we're doing some changes for that. My math teachers were actually, I have a math coach now, this is our first year, we were blessed with one as well, who is fabulous, and to see her, I talked to Ms. Snyder about it last week, to see her doing coaching cycles, even with seasoned teachers, not just brand new teachers, to see her do those lessons with her to coach. I've seen Ms. Age do it with the reading teachers, but now with the math, to see the difference, it's huge. And so I am excited. I know, I agree with Mr. Cochran, where we're gonna stay, so I know that we're gonna move up. But, those happening in our SPED department, our SPED numbers have gone up. I wanna commend Ms. Poe and everybody, and Mr. Woodman, but the things they do to make it happen. We were able to get another SPED teacher this year, so, I have an addition to that, so, to make those small groups smaller, because if you saw our resource teachers walking in the hall, it looks like a classroom of students. So to be able to divide that up and to help them with that smaller grade, to hone in on the behaviors, to hone in on the deficiency, so I'm very excited about that. We did with our, some of our title funds, we've had an at-risk tutor, we had an at-risk reading tutor, we called an at-risk reading tutor, who, she pulls our tier 3, reading students, and so we were able to make it happen in our money, and we have an at-risk math intervention teacher as well. So those ladies come in 2 to 3 days a week, and they progress monitor and provide intervention to our tier 3 students. I also called Mr. Woodman this summer because my music teacher retired. Dr. Addison and myself shared a music teacher, and Mr. Hunt retired, and so we were able to shift some of our units, and I said, hey, can I not do music? Not because I don't like music, but just to do something different. We are facing challenges in enrollment, and other things are options, so I had a reading teacher who is a phenomenal reading teacher, but she is also a phenomenal art teacher. Those of you who don't know, you'll need to come to our school. It's phenomenal. We have an art gallery. She has taken it. She is in charge of our spelling bee. She's wonderful. So Ms. Wood also, part of her job is to do intervention. So she does our tier 3 reading intervention. So she does not teach art during that intervention block every day, and then she has some time at the end of the day. So she also does reading, she still has to do reading, but she loves it. But, so that's been phenomenal, and she knows the curriculum, and she knows those students, so she's really honed in on that, so I'm excited of the things to come. And with art, and I never really thought about it until we met last week, but the central zone, now that I do art, Dr. Addison, I'm not still his glory because he'll tell y'all, but he decided to do theater. So when you think about the whole thing, central zone students get music, they get art, and they get theater. So I think that is awesome, awesome opportunity that a lot of kids don't get in all three of them. So we're excited about that. All right, I'm going to 4th grade. Our 4th grade, and this is where I want to focus. 70% is huge. Our reading, I feel like, has stayed steady, and I think it's increased even. But I do commend the Literacy Act, and I'm with everybody who said if we have focused on reading for so long, that math is just kind of fallen. And I don't say it to my math teachers, thank goodness they're not here. So they are so compassionate. We have changed. I do an alternate schedule, and we do it when we have activities, so that way that everybody still gets their PE. they go to PE within their PLCs, like their peer teachers, but the alternate schedule has it where they go to PE with, like fourth grade math, third grade math, and I have aides that go out there and help with it. So we do that the second Friday of every month. That way they can meet with their grade, their departments, and plan. And, we do that, and then we do it on an as-needed basis. After the academic trainings, they meet. Because that is hard. But if you have, that's helped having a schedule, that I know I can say, hey, we're doing an alternate schedule today. So nothing really changes. And just, so that's helped out a lot. So changing the master schedule, we already are implementing, believe it or not, we're already planning for next year. One of my math teachers actually called me last night at 8:30, and she's like, third grade, we want to change our intervention block. And I was like, it's December. And she was like, next year. And she, and I was like, okay, yeah, valid point. So I had it in my next year folder. So I commend everybody for thinking ahead. That's what we do. Education's ever changing, and that's what we do. So anyways, I just feel like they're already on it. I know that we've talked, and Ms. Igniter hit on it. We had planned this whole day for January 5th, for us to do some vertical alignment. And I will say, Ben, it's awesome being at a school that's just third and fourth grade, because you can focus developmentally and all the things I've been at Daniel Pratt too. That's a plus, that you can follow those kids. You start first grade and you follow those kids up. So we're trying to do some things to implement to help an easier flow. So I'm excited about that too. So we just had to pivot. AMSTI, we're excited about AMSTI too. Is there a thing? Also, we have, I applied for a grant last year. It was called Bobcat Blessings. Well, I had to change it, because we're Lions. So now we just named it Lions Love mentoring program. And so we do have a lot that don't have a father figure. And I find when we look at our discipline and look at the data, a lot of that they just don't. And so I partner with the Y to come in and kind of do like an attendance check or a buddy check. Actually, my daughter's boyfriend went to a private school, and he was there one day, and I had a kid in my office, and he was like, hey man, you play football? Like, he came back this year and checked on him, started for football, and I let him go throw in the front yard because he had done great on his already, or so it's things like that I feel like people don't see, and that's what I want people to see. Our teachers, and I mean our county, from top to bottom, central office staff, everybody, I think just pours their heart and soul into these children. And so yes, it's data, but we're doing something right. And so we're moving in the right direction, and even though this is an 89 is a hiccup, we're gonna pick up the pieces and we're gonna make things happen. And that's Pratt Elementary. And one thing that you can do, come visit. Come visit, live it a day, you'll love it. And any advice, we're an open book. Any questions?
I think A is huge, you doing the schedule to get playing times in there and have those. I always think it's anytime you put teachers together where they got time to talk academics and get the plan, I think it's huge. But you said earlier that math is struggling. Why do you think that is?
I think the focus has just been on reading for a while. And I'm not saying that math hasn't been important, but I think we all focus on reading so much. And I do think it goes back to the tiers, just like Ms. Womble said, you focus on reading, you want to read. And I'm gonna be honest, the math skills, some of these parents, and I feel like what we're taught, or the way that children are taught these days, these parents can't help them. That's a struggle. I've had parents call and we're like, we can't even help our kid, and so we have talked about putting some things into place, like after school, just to teachers that want to stay and help, do a parent class. Ms. Mason and Ms. Ferguson, they're some of our third grade teachers, they do a parent night. Ms. Mason makes her parents take a test. Like, this is what your students are doing. And I think educating those parents, because it's a whole different way of learning. And so, I'm like you, I've been in the education world my whole life, but a lot of these people haven't. And so we can help them while we're here, but they're just not getting home, and some don't look at it as important. And that's where I feel like I feel like we're failing them, because I don't know how to help them, outside of our little building.
I think the struggle too, I know the question went for me, but I'll say it. reading, teach the way to do it, you know, it's a little easier. I'm not saying it's easier to teach, I'm saying that curriculum path is a little clearer. My frustration with math is statewide, we are running through stuff so fast, and you have to. And that is the dilemma, is to hit all the things that you have to hit. It feels a little frustrating. I know our teachers are frustrated, I know my principals are frustrated about the pace of it, and then are you really mastering the concepts? Now, that's one thing we're doing with this teacher council coming in, asking, you know, I'm trying to get a little more, give me concrete stuff that we can change to fix the things. I know 2 years ago, there was a lot of frustration with our guide, and we made a lot of changes in that. We brought in the teachers, hey, look, that's not the intent. Tell us what we have to do. And, you know, the curriculum question is something that I don't need to get on a whole lot tonight. I think y'all know where I stand on that and where our teachers stand on it. But the pace of what we're asking math teachers to cover, and then honestly, the level of things they have to cover, it's very frustrating. So when you look at stuff statewide and you look at charter schools and all these other things, yeah, curriculum matters when we're asking our teachers to cover this wide range of things. And oh, by the way, we're gonna bump it up even more the next year, and up the next year, I think from our board and the superintendent association, we gotta advocate to our people, this is what our teachers are telling us. This is the struggle. How do we do it? Now, I would say, you know, I think a lot of what we can solve, we're gonna solve with the different meetings, different councils, things like that, and get some ideas. And there's a big difference between, you know, Mr. Snyder knows what I'm probably say, there's a big difference between required and recommended. And we're trying to shift as much things that we can that are not required. And okay, if it's recommended, let's go this route. But trying to get away from that, well, we have to do this. No, what we have to do is get them back on gray road. And wherever we can find some gray area there to do it, I promise you that's what we're doing. So anyway, I don't mean to ramble about it, but the curriculum side of it is a challenge. There's just no two ways around that.
It's no secret that up here, Billy is the data guy, and he puts a lot of stake in the data, but, and I love seeing all the numbers and everything, but what I love to hear is, are our kids safe? Are they happy? Do they wanna come to school? You know, those are the things that matter to me. I mean, I know you say, y'all are all like, oh, it's an 89, but I look inside y'all schools and your kids are happy and your teachers are happy, and that speaks more volumes to me than your grade.
Can I jump on that too? I mean, you're the third principal that's came up, and you're upset it's an 89.
We might be just a little
Okay,
bit.
look, I'm gonna say this, I know we're live streaming, so I'm gonna encourage our families, if you're still watching, or if you go back and watch. Okay, the great thing about accountability is it's out there, okay? Go research it. You're gonna find out real quick that the education your child is getting in Autauga County, go ahead and match it up, okay? I find it refreshing that I've got 3 principals that are like, and 3 staffs that are just in the dumps about an 89. You know, I think that's a testament to why we are what we are around here. So I appreciate that. Now, Ms. Jerkins, I know here in a minute you're gonna go and we're gonna talk about that a little bit. She's gonna have really, it'll make a whole lot of sense on that report card. But, you know, I commend all 3 of you and your staffs and everybody of being that distraught because we're now at 89. Well, again, with what we're dealing with and the challenges we face, good luck anybody else if you think you can do any better. And again, I will challenge our families, go look at who everybody will compete with and pull the data, and it is what it is. Like, I feel really good at what we're doing with our schools in the Autauga County. So, anyway, I don't mean to get on a soap opera there, but we're live, and this is why we're doing this, because we're not gonna run from accountability, and by golly, pull it up and compare. So, you know, I'm off my, Mr. Holland, I'm off myself. All right, any other questions for Ms. Lindsay?
There was just one thing you said. I'm glad you said that about the 89. You said, and I wrote this down, that 89 was hard for you to see, but it's also hard to get to. And I think that's the important point, is that this isn't just something that you did today. The reason you have an 89 is because you started from here and you built your way up to this. You'll have an A, not to say, you know, Billy, everybody loves the quantitative data. I'm a qualitative data guy. And that's why this is my first time seeing this presentation. I can't wait for the other ones that are coming down, right? Because I want to hear the stories. I want to hear what you're having to see. One of the things that, you know, one of the real advancements that I'm really excited about getting hearing the meat of is the superintendent's council, which is a focus group, really, you know, of just all of the people within the county coming together to share their stories and things like that. You know, I want to see more of that. I want to hear this teacher was interviewed and this is what they talked about and things like that, because that is a comprehensive picture. You know, they've all said that this doesn't tell the whole tale. Well, I know that, you know, and so we want to hear those
Also
tales
has the
as
great
well.
advantage of being married to, a teacher who's, tell them this, and tell them this, tell them that. Yeah, so we get to hear.
Yeah, and I say tell Jody. But thank you.
But to hear that they are also liking superintendent's council, that we've never had that before, or, you know.
And the partnerships y'all have,
Right.
all of these things.
And how that really is making a difference inside the schools with the employees, the you know, all of that, how all of those things come down. It makes everybody feel more together, more of a family.
And again, I want to thank God. It's tough getting in front and going through everything, and for years we had to do that, and then there was a gap. I appreciate Mr. Winfrey bringing that back, and you know, because as a principal, sometimes you're told all these things we got to do, and then it's like, just tell me what I got to do. You know, not all these different little things, and then we're left. I'll never forget Mr. A.G. one time coming and seeing me and telling me, hey, I want your ACT scores up. You know, and it was focused of, this is what we gotta do. You know, this is it. This is, you know, where we're gonna drive. This is where we're working towards. And you know, again, just knowing what your goals are, and then how do we need to support that goal for you to achieve it. And I appreciate you guys being willing to go up tonight. And you know, I'm sure there's better things you want to do on Tuesday night, much less getting in front of a group and ask for the moment questions. But I do appreciate Mr. Woodfin, you know, supporting that. I think it's so important.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lindsay. All right, Ms. Jerkins, come on up.
Okay, well,
I was gonna say, Ms. Jerkins will probably be the shortest of all of them.
Hey, if it makes you feel good, I'm not gonna ask any questions on this.
So, we can leave the slide right here, because, you know, my 67 is higher than the state standard.
There you go.
But, so I would be proud of an 89 tonight, but I do know that, last year, we started the Atala Virtual Academy, and there were 2 of us when we
Say it
started.
one more time. The whole school year, how many
There-
people did you have on
We
staff?
started the staff with 2 people, round up, me and I had a special ed teacher, and we started. After school started, we got a counselor. And so there were 3 of us. And we called it the BOX program, Edgenuity, Imagine Learning. And we really accepted every applicant because we started out as a program. And we had to get our number to become a cost center, to become our school.
Which would have gave us the funding for all these.
Right, to get our funding. So we accepted everybody, and a lot of the students that we received were failing when we got them. And that's okay, because we actually were able to have 5 what we call jumpers. We actually were able to get them back on cohort, back on grade level. And in spite of that, what you can't see, we still had an 86 grad rate, 86% grad rate. So, we were proud of that. We are a K-12 school, so that was new for us, the 3 of us, because we were all secondary. So, Ms. McNider had her job cut out for her. I don't know that any of us were ready. Because elementary was new for all of us. So, the good news, I think, for us is there's nowhere to go but up. And we're seeing that already this year. We have 275 students now. Last year, the three of us were in a borrowed classroom at Daniel Pratt. This year, we have our own building, and I have my own staff. We have teachers. I have a teacher for each core subject, secondary, and I have an elementary teacher. I have 2 SPED teachers. I have a secretary, and we share a custodian with Second Chance, and we have an itinerant bookkeeper. So we have staff, and we have, our teachers are all from Watauga County, so I also have the best teachers. We have positive surveys, the feedback from our parents, our teachers, our students have all been very positive. We have students in line waiting to come to us second semester. We have students who are on honors diploma, AP diploma, dual enrollment. We have behavior students, and we also do the homebound students. We have students who are remotely enrolled. But this year has been a complete turnaround. We see a big difference in the students because we're able to bring our students on campus. Last year we did not have that. Our grades already are so much better. We don't have the failure rate at this point this year that we had last year. We are able to bring our kids in if they're not signing in like they should, if they're not, their grades aren't where they need to be. We require them to come in, and they can work one-on-one with the teacher in-house because we have our teachers now. One of the issues I think that hurt us, of course, I do have the best chronic absenteeism in the district, that is 0. But one thing that hurt us was some of our students that are virtual, not from their choosing, if they were sent to us or whatever, they have to come to us for state testing. If they're high school, they come to us for pre-ACT and ACT. It's hard to get them to show up, so some of them didn't come, or the ones who do come, maybe they didn't perform as well, so that's a big hit, the testing. The other thing is the ACAP, we took a hit on some of that because maybe we weren't as prepared. But this year coming up, again, that's totally different already because we better prepared last year when we realized this is something serious, this elementary. So I-Ready, ACAP last year, we were schooled in that. And so I'm excited because this year has been a breath of fresh air just because we're in a building, I have teachers, we've all been excited. Mr. Camara, Mr. Barrington has done a great job of when I've called and said, we need this, we need that. I don't like it. These bright colors are blowing my mind. I'm secondary, and they got it painted. And so I have really been appreciative, and we have a school full of students, and a lot of them have gotten diplomas that otherwise would not have. So I think good things are coming, and if I have an 89 next year, that'd be great. And I will say the highest grade for a virtual school in the state of Alabama is a 75, and the average right now in our Tri-County area is a 71. So I think I will surpass that. Any questions?
No, I just commend you. I mean, my daughter started out last year, and it was very hard. So I was very excited to hear that this year was gonna be completely different, because if anybody didn't survive last year, they deserve, we did not survive, so.
And it was very hard, it was very rigorous.
Yes.
And the
curriculum was hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
The time was hard, so to know that we can now have our own teachers, and, that is very exciting, and I think that that's gonna play a big part in seeing an increase.
Right, and I think, and also for the public, anybody watching, people have said, well, oh, it's virtual, that must be really easy. But virtual to people that's never done it, and people compare it to COVID virtual. They compare it to traditional school done at home. And that is not what this is. It's totally different. And I invite you to come to our school. We are at 423 South Northington Street. And we're in the yellow stucco, the old part of the old kindergarten, which is second chance. So you're welcome to come with us. And we don't have hot water in our.
But you do have an address this year.
Yeah, and I do have paint carpet, so I'm good.
And a beautiful mailbox.
Ms. Glover, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say this to all four of you. We talked about accountability. It was defined as trust. I like that. But what I know about the four of you, and I know some of you very personally from growing up together, but I'll say this, the competitiveness that I see in this group tonight is such a benefit to our students. Because as an old coach, I can say this, I know what is bred out of competitiveness, okay? That's going to be spirit. It's going to be heart, it's going to be drive, and it's going to be a work ethic. I can tell everybody here, even the ones watching on TV, if every one of our kids that graduate from Watauga County have those four traits, the world's going to be a better place. So what I've seen and heard tonight is outstanding. I don't care about those numbers. Yes, it makes us look good. I want your 89 to be a 90, Katie, I do. But here's the deal, okay? And you, Jody, I know how hard you all work, but what it means to you and the spirit that comes out of you guys in presenting this is what I think is special. And I appreciate it.
Anything else? Board members, I think what you'll see and to kind of land the plane on that, I talk to our principals daily, and not to bring it back up, but I think it is something we're going to look at moving forward. The K-2 band, I promise you I'll bring it back up. We're going to have to look at some other options discipline-wise. I don't know if we can do it mid-year. Full disclosure, I'm trying to see if there's any interest from people on a possible position. I do think behaviors are changing. We've got to let people know we're not going to tolerate certain behaviors, and I think that's how we continue to move forward. I think Mr. Holland, I've heard you ask several times, what can we do? Our people want to be supported. I think we've made a big push to try to support with facilities and the salary schedule and supplements and all that. There's also a lot to be said about what's going on in that classroom day to day, and I don't want the public to think that this is just, it's off the rails, it's off the chain. No, that's not what they're saying. What they're saying though is there's some behaviors that we do not expect to encounter at K-2. And I'm gonna say this, it's not just us. I toured University Charter School the other day in Livingston, Alabama, and they were very good. It was a very good meeting. I said, hey, are y'all seeing, because in our superintendent meetings, every superintendent is saying the same thing. The pre-K to second grade is off the chain. That's what everybody says. I went to a charter school that, just toured it. And I said, hey, are you seeing these same behaviors? They said, hey, let me show you this behavior unit that we run over here. It is statewide. Why? Well, these are the babies that would be coming from COVID, and there's a gap there. And I don't know. I wish I could tell you the scientific reasons. I just know what our people are dealing with. And y'all are getting the calls. They're letting you know next year. I'm just laying the groundwork now. I think we're going to have to look at possibly a additional class at Second Chance that is just for our K-2, and we start making everybody know that there's certain behaviors that we're not going to tolerate, and it don't matter what grade level you're in. Now, I understand that may look different. I get all that, but that's what I hear from our principals. The ISS has really helped, but now there's a gap, and whereas that gap wouldn't matter if you wasn't seeing those major Class C violation behaviors. Well, now they don't know how to handle those Class C violations other than suspend. Well, if I suspend them, I'm giving them exactly what a lot of them want. So, anyway, I think we'll have work sessions, we'll move forward, you know, we'll look at some things, but I think everything I've heard, I see a lot of heads bobbing, you know, I think that's one of our major challenges is how are we as a board and a superintendent, how are we gonna address what we see happening that has never really happened before? And again, it's not a Talk County. You call anybody in the state of Alabama and ask them what I'm telling you, and everybody's gonna tell you the same thing. It's statewide. So, anyway, I commend you guys for coming. Thank y'all for that. I know it went a little longer than what we thought, but, you know, I appreciate what you do, and, I do. To echo what Mr. Glover's saying, I appreciate the passion. It's what makes our place special. Appreciate some of our teachers and Ms. Abel and everybody showing up tonight. Thank y'all for coming. It's really good. All right, so real quick to finish up this portion of the agenda, I'm just going to briefly touch on this board members, the symposium update. One reason we moved the PD to second semester was to be able to target some of the things we're seeing. You have the agenda in your packets. We are changing. You know, originally we had everybody at Prattville High School. The feedback last year was maybe the week was a little too long. Can we be isolated a little more on the areas that we're going to be? So we have about 5 locations going when we come back January 6th. You will see PD that is tailored a little more toward their actual subject area. We're really focusing on several areas, but again, all that's in your packet. I just wanted y'all to see the PD plan there. Wish I had a little more time to go into it, but again, I know we're pushing 2 hours here. So, but it is much more targeted. You will see a lot of areas there with some issues we're seeing in our PE departments, self-contained classrooms, special education, the things that we've talked about that they just presented on. If you'll go through that agenda, you'll see that we do have a lot of targeted PD there. So, any questions on anything in the received information portion? All right, before a recommendation for approval of the consent agenda, I'm going to give you some information on the items listed. Item number 3 contains all athletic and field trips for the month and the coming months. Item number 4 contains supplemental pay requests pertaining to tutoring, instructional services, school activities, and other services. Item number 5 contains a list of items that are no longer in working condition and need to be disposed. Item number 6 requests approval of the salary schedule revision due to a discrepancy in staff position and associated salary schedules. Long story short there, we're trying to solidify some changes we made with a couple positions that have a degree or not degree, so that's what that's in reference to. Item number 7 contains supplemental coaching contracts for current employees. Item number 8 contains a contract for temporary employment. Are there any questions with the consent agenda as presented?
You have heard the superintendent's recommendation. May I get a motion? I have a motion. I get a second. All right, all in favor, raise your hand.
All right, at this time, I recommend approval of the personnel report as presented.
Board members, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation. May I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
All right, this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Wallace to come forward and provide us with October and November bank and financial statements.
Good evening, I have to switch now. Old age is great. Okay, so we're gonna cover October and November now that we finally survived the completion of the year end of 2025. So now, for October, we should be around 8% of our budget. In October, our revenues were 7% or 6.2 million, and our expenditures were 9%. Keep in mind that we do have some funds from prior year that we're spending. So you're gonna see a trend right now in October, November, and December that our expenditures are gonna outtrack our revenues because of funds that we received in the earlier years. Our fund balance was at 57.5 million for October, and payroll for the month was at 7 million. As far as local revenues, that's a slow start off in October because they're always 1 month behind. So in October, local revenue collection was $635,000, which is 2.9% of our budget. Keep in mind that we do have our local tax revenue that is allocated to do our foundation match. So for the first 4 to 5 months, local revenue will go toward that matching program. And that's October. Do you want me to go ahead and shoot November?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in November, our second month of the fiscal year, we should be around 17%. Our expenditure, our revenues were at 9%. The reason why our revenues did not change is because of the timing of when we got our foundation check. So due to the holidays, they released our foundation check right before Thanksgiving, banks were closed, the wire didn't hit till December. So you're gonna see December's, when I talk about it next month, have an influx of revenues because it's gonna have 2 months of state revenues in it. Our expenses were right on target at 17% for the month of November. Our fund balance therefore went down a little bit to 52 million, and our payroll stayed the same at 7 million. Our local revenue, collections were 3 million. So now you'll see from going from 6 because it's that month behind, so now you'll start seeing the uptick of that. And we're at 14% of our budget for local revenues for this fiscal year thus far. Any questions? Alright, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. All right, this time I recommend approval of the October bank and financial statements as presented.
Motion to approve.
Hey, look at here. All in favor? Raise your hand. Yes.
At this time, I recommend approval of the November bank and financial statements as presented.
Board members, you've heard the recommendation.
Make a motion.
Billy's got a motion. Got a second. All in favor?
All right, just real quick on superintendent report, just a couple quick things. First off, we've got midterms and finals coming up next week. We worked through some glitches today with Power School. We're gonna, you see a lot of schools that are starting to put that information out. We're in pretty good shape there, feel good about that. Just a reminder, for all the people watching, midterms are required. There's no exemptions there. In case you get a question, board members, just remember that. Marby High School is on a block schedule, so they're on final schedule, so yes, they will have some exemptions there. The only other thing, look, it's been a good run. We won't meet again before Christmas, but as you know, we have the early half day that we will dismiss early on December 19th at 11:30. And we'll get ready to come back in January. But it's been a really good semester. Feel really good where we're at. I think you see on some of the presentations tonight. I think we all feel good where we're headed. So that's all I got. Any questions?
Any further business? Any no further business, may I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have that, Billy.